So I've been playing Path of Exile a bit more, and as many comments have said, I've only played about 1/10 of the first chapter of the tutorial's first starter mission. Did I get that right? Okay, so let's dig a bit deeper and see what I can do in this game. Path of Exile has a very large gameplay loop, and it's one that I've heard people playing hundreds, if not thousands of hours. I'll be a bit honest, I ain't really got that kind of time, but I wanted to see what I could do as a new player in Path of Exile, casually of course. Was it still enjoyable? Did the difficulty ramp up too much? Would my Templar ever find pants? And then it happened. The moment I understood Path of Exile and why so many people play this game. And this is how I got to that moment. Also, I'd like to take this time to give a big shout out to my supporters, those who are paying me monthly to be able to do what I am doing here. I could not create content at the rate that I am doing without your support. If you are interested in becoming a member and joining the Caffeinated cult, check out the link in the description below. So of course, spending quite a bit more time playing Path of Exile, I found some pretty neat upgrades along the way. I found my first hideout and discovered this crafting table, which is honestly pretty damn awesome. You random roll for some improvement stats and use some of the resources that you get, and it's pretty straightforward. Honestly, I feel like I'm going to have to come back to this more as I get better and better gear. I don't want to waste too many of my resources too early on. More importantly, I found 2 new badass gems. Reckoning, which when using a shield and I block, it causes an explosion of damage to that particular target. Then I found Val Cleave, which has 2 components, one being the main skill, which is just cleave, and then the other being a charged skill, so that after so many kills, it unlocks a hard-hitting ability. And it also apparently stacks cruelty, which seems like some type of damage modifier as I move through. I mean, this is all pretty badass. I like the idea of like a corrupted gem that has like an extra added effect. I actually found quite a few of these throughout my playthrough thus far, I think like 3 or 4. Of course, with this idea of using Reckoning and a shield, I decided that if I'm going to take a ton of damage from literally everything and be forced into melee, why not tank all of the damage and give it back tenfold? I rely heavily on my Absolution minions and other damage modifiers. However, it was brought to my attention in some of the comments that I may be pulling in too many different directions. In my first video, I went with a mix of spells, attacks, and minions, which is basically 3 different build paths. So I decided I would focus less on spells for now and more on minions and attack, while also reflecting quite a bit of that damage that I take back at their targets. I am now breezing through basically enemies all over the place, and this is because of 2 reasons. One is I'm a bit over leveled. Thanks to the Viridian Wildwood, I've gotten extra experience, making me be a few more levels ahead of the game. The second reason is because these damn minions hit so damn hard. The Absolution minions just absolutely truck everything around. It's a bit ridiculous. So here I go, traversing through Act 2. Coming toward the end, I am asked to climb to the apex of a pyramid because somehow I turned off the lights everywhere and the Val is corrupting energies pouring out from the pyramid. And then this guy's starting to blame me like, oh, it's all because of you. It's like, dude, I don't have pants. What do you mean I turned off the sun? Well, anyway, I climbed to the top of this pyramid after rushing all of my minions, literally lighting everything on fire to get to the apex. I actually take a look at my skills, and there's this handy dandy DPS rating that I never noticed somehow. I had no idea about this, but hey, that's pretty cool. And it looks like I'm not using the highest DPS skill, so I switch it, going from Cleave to Smite. After reaching the room right below the pyramid apex, I need to do a gear dump. I'm too overloaded, and I'm expecting there to be a bunch after I fight whatever's at the top of this. If you're climbing a pyramid, you know that there's something there that you got to deal with. If you're going up or down, you're going to fight something. And this was it. This was the moment that I understood Path of Exile. I get it. I took a look at my gems, moving things around, and I noticed this little bridge between the sockets. Then I take a look at some of the skill gems that I have, and some of them are support. At first, I thought that as long as they were in the gear somewhere, that they apply their support buff. That is apparently not the case. They need to be directly linked to whatever ability that they can positively affect. Meaning if they are linked together, they will add their modifying effect to whatever they can touch. The reason I wasn't pumping out super amounts of DPS is because I was all over the place with my sockets and place holdings.
You're a basic bitch.
Like, I was legitimately pulling in too many different directions, and that's why it was tough. After reorganizing my stats to be more in line and where they should be, it clicked. Oh, now it's on. I start cruising through everything in my path, even more. I don't even believe if I was on the same level as all these mobs, they would give me a challenge anyway. We are cooking. I crush everything to the very top of the pyramid to reach this point where all the dark energies are coming from. Dark altar, press the button. What's the worst that can happen? I activate it and out spawns this massive Legend of Zelda boss with goofy ass legs, and here we go. Time to go to work. I actually don't have too much trouble dispatching this guy, but I'm taking like no damage whatsoever. Occasionally a bop on the head hurts, but this is manageable. I finish up Act 2, ready to take on all the smoke. New town, new story bit, ready to take down Piety, this pain in the ass Inquisitor Whitemane ripoff. Venturing out, I find a new Val room and I get to work, but it doesn't really drop anything that I want to use. Some of the skills are cool, however, I think that I'm leaning away from dexterity builds. Like, I will include them, and I will have green gems, of course, throughout my gear, but more focus on red and blue for right now, I think. As for my build, I took advice of some of the comments that had suggested that I should focus more on defenses and resistances, as once we get to certain points in the story, the damage will ramp up significantly. I look specifically for shield upgrades, as well as to fit more of the playstyle that I'm looking for. Kind of like a Thorns reverse damage, I take it, but I give it back to them kind of thing going on here. I found a new trial of Ascendancy, and now I'm getting pretty close to completing it. I did do some digging on a website and found out about the sub-specializations that are tied to each of the classes, and this is actually really cool, and this is something I'm focused on now. To see the Ascendancy growth and add a new flavor of customization, I mean, come on, like, who doesn't want that? And anyway, I'm looking for Tollman, this dude who got sucked into the thirst trap that is Piety. After getting basically to the end, I'm joined by a random person from chat, and they drop off 2 unique rings and then just straight up dip. Here you go, you know, good luck. The rings are super strong, and I'm excited because this is, like, of course, a massive upgrade. It's probably going to trivialize even more than what I'm already doing, but hey, I'm here to have some fun. I get to choose between a few new aura gems that increase my damage dealt to enemies or reduce the amount of damage that I take from enemies, but it eats up all of my mana reserves, so that's neat, I suppose. I don't know if I have enough mana regeneration currently that it would be reasonable for me to sacrifice most of my reservation, but we'll see what happens. I quest through some sewers and then through a marketplace and come to the battlefront. Apparently there's a massive siege that's going on, and it's about to have a whole hell of a lot of holiness in it. After literally routing like this entire freaking army, I find a random ribbon spool. It's a quest item for something, and it's going where we are going, so you know what, that's pretty cool. So decimating some more army troops, I get to the Solaris Temple. I am literally assaulted by flying ribbons. Flying tentacle ribbons, like one's named an assault ribbon. What the hell is this? Also, fully nude Michelangelo statues rush up and fight me, which is not for the faint of heart, because it also appears that there are fully nude women statues. Or at least mostly, I don't know, I'm not digging into it. I'm starting to think that this game isn't rated E for everyone. I also grab a quest that has me going back to Act 1 to deal with a pirate. I mean, it's not terrible, but anyway, we get to the top of the Solaris Temple and I talk to Lady Dahlia, which is also another scantily clad woman, but I think she might be a robot. Anyway, I go back to Act 1 to talk to this pirate who has asked me to find the Allflame and bring it to him. Being a good little errand boy, I do just that. And guess what the wanted criminal does? He double crosses me. I got no way. Yeah, he tries to unalive me. I don't think he realizes that I'm like 25 levels higher than him. Literally, my minions wreck his face super quick. I did like nothing after spawning the minions. It was incredible. I continue speccing into various forms of defensives as well as physical damage increases. I work through this warrior trait line and then start focusing on more health and defenses. It seems like I'm very overpowered here and doing quite a bit of damage, so why not make myself just unkillable? I work my way to the docks and lo and behold, look who I find. The Wish version of the undead Captain Jack Sparrow. This guy who literally just tried to kill me, well, now needs me to help him. Well, he apparently does just want to die the right way, so I aim to help him as the blessed man that I am. I bust my way through to kill off the leader of the besieging army, General Gravicus. And actually, for a general, he's not very strong. I mean, it's like a quick fight and then he's down. I expected more, but again, not to disappoint, my Templar drops another brutal line. Listen to this line.
You chose the road, old friend. God put me at the end of it.
Damn, that's rough. Oh, I love it. I hop through these gardens and find a fruit that is going to permanently kill our pirate friend, but it doesn't seem to work out for him, I guess. And cue another brutal line.
The longer you run from God, Fairgraves, the more damned you become.
Damn, the writing in this is actually picking up pretty well. All right, after all that, I am now hunting Piety and all of her shenanigans. I crashed through this entire place, literally finding hundreds and hundreds of gallons of blood, which is kind of odd, don't you think? Like, what type of sewer system does this have? You know, like, doesn't the blood coagulate? I feel like that would clog some. Anyway, a few naked girl monsters and a couple bloody boys later, I am now against Piety, this absolute hussy that's been causing such a fussy, and then again, Templar saying Templar things.
Rest while you can, mistress of suffering. Judgment will not go easy on you.
Damn, that's a cold-ass honky.
Now I am tasked with fighting the man who put me here. I say goodbye to my faithful minions. They have served me well, but I need to go all in on one aspect, and I decided it is best to keep my holy relic, but focus on counterattacks and blocking through Reckoning. I lean heavily onto armor, taking very little damage and reflecting it tenfold. This is the way. While looking for this tower to God, I finished the last aspect of the Lord's Labyrinth, and it opens up now. I can start working on this apparently crucial aspect of the game where I can unlock this subclass. I didn't realize this, but this is going to be awesome. So I work my way through the labyrinth, taking nothing as far as damage. And of course, now that I have 2 movement skills, a dash and a leap, this is pretty cool. I move through this entire place no problem to fight Izaro? Izaro. I'm going to say Izaro, which seems to be like the big boss. He summons strong enemies and damage effects all over the floor. I can literally just face tank it. No problem whatsoever. I fight him and then he runs away. I guess it's a tiered boss fight. You have to kill him so many times. Okay, I'll play your game. I work through another portion of the maze to come to fight him again, and he gets some new abilities and harder hitting skills, but it really still isn't close to killing me. This area also has a bunch of other aspects similar to like traps and other issues that we found all over the place in the other trials, but now I get to fight this dude one-on-one. After a short fight, boom, he's down. Now I get to choose my Ascendancy class. I get to pick between 3 subclasses, Guardian, Inquisitor, or Hierophant. Seeing as I'm already leaning heavily on the whole shield thing, Guardian is where I think I'm going to want to be. I picked this one skill that regenerates 100% of my HP over 1 second every 4 seconds. Now I take like little damage and I heal super quick all the damn time. Ooh, I'm ready. I'm ready for all the smoke. Now for the final task. Take down the asshat who sent me here. I cruise, leap, and crush over everything here. If anything attacks me, it immediately gets booted with my shield and reflected damage back at it. I am now dungeon crawling super fast. Leaps, jumps, movement flasks. This is exactly what I love about ARPGs. Just crushing enemies running through. I climb to the top of the Sceptre of the Gods and release someone named the Scion. I hope this won't be an issue later, but it seems kind of sketchy that it's just like a nod and off I go. Anyway, finally we hit the top. I get to wreck the jerk who put me here. He sends all of his minions, all his corrupted, terrible creations, and it seems like some of his friends, but I am face smashing everyone, as it is time to take down the High Templar. He starts shooting like all these sorts of beams and ghost lightning bolts, I don't know, but I take nothing in damage. He gets the beat down and I think it's over, but then he morphs into some type of Resident Evil boss, and oh, you best believe that the Templar drops the sickest line that I have ever heard in a long, long time.
By exiling me, you were my Genesis, Dominus, and now here I stand, countless miles and murders later, honored to be your revelation.
Act 3 complete, Piety dead. Oh, it's a good feeling. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the new growths and chapters that I have found during this ascendancy. So in this portion of the journey of Path of Exile, I really started to understand the game a hell of a lot better. Like a lot better. The biggest hurdle that I mounted was understanding the linking of socketed gems and how effective they can be depending on what I put together. That alone gave me a 50 to 60% increase in damage, which was incredible. The second thing that I picked up is that I certainly understood what players meant about building for survivability. It truly makes a massive difference having an extra 15% elemental resistance, especially when a mob hits you with the shocked ailment. Now, the even bigger truth came when I finally understand the idea of a focused build versus just picking the traits that I thought were pretty cool. Actually setting up skills, passives, and working them together and flowing them into a build of what I want to be in this game is more than I had ever hoped for. This was fantastic. I am loving the idea of my Thorns Templar build that utilizes a shield, reflects tons and tons of damage, all the while I'm tanky as hell, not to mention the crazy amounts of life, regen, and mobility. I am able to speed through areas and levels without ever really having a single mob be able to take me down, which in my first episode, I did get chunked quite a few times, actually. I'm starting to get that really, really good ARPG vibes, and it's great. I'm here for it. The story is actually coming together pretty nicely, I'm not gonna lie. At first I thought it was gonna be kind of slow and meh, based off of my initial impressions, but now I'm seeing how good it can be. Not only tracking down and killing Piety, but then jumping on and killing the demonic High Templar who, guess what, was the asshat who sent us here in the first place. Like, holy crap, this story is actually turning out to be pretty well despite its, slower start. One comment I read suggested that it's like a slow burn, and it takes time to get where it starts picking up, but once it does, it is really good. Now I am only moving into Act 4, and I believe there is still plenty of storytelling left, so I'm excited to see where this gravy train will grow. The last thing that I loved was the Trials of the Ascendancy and picking my subclass. That adds an extra flavor onto your main class. That is just so damn good. Without knowing the Guardian existed, I was already baking together a build that was going to be a tanking powerhouse that was only complemented further by the Guardian subclass, and this isn't going to be taken down easily. Now I can really fit the vibe without any major concern. I mean, 100% of my HP regened in 1 second every 4 seconds. It's kind of OP, right? Not to mention the armor and defensive stats. It has been an absolute blast. I plan on trudging through the rest of the Path of Exile story, getting to the glorious endgame that so many players have told me is the crown jewel of this storied ARPG. I can't wait. Now, if you want to see what my initial impressions were of this game, click this video here. As always, stay caffeinated, folks.